I kept telling myself it was just a brief escape, a way to reignite a spark I thought had faded. David, my husband, was kind and dependable, but our life together had settled into a dull rhythm, quiet meals, weary mornings, conversations that meant nothing. So when Ethan, an old love, reached out with promises of passion and thrill, I gave in. I arranged a secret trip with him, telling David I'd be spending time with friends. The moment I boarded the plane, I silenced David's number so nothing could interrupt me. Those days away were everything I thought I was missing: indulgent dinners, reckless laughter, kisses that made me feel alive again. With Ethan, I shed the weight of responsibility, of vows, of the man waiting for me back home. Every night, I told myself this was harmless, that I'd come back unchanged, and David would never find out. But in the rare moments of quiet, guilt crept in. I pushed it away, kept my phone off, ignored his calls and his worry. For 7 days, I drifted through a fantasy, while David sat at home, anxious and abandoned, not knowing where I was. When it was over, I felt dread tangled with a strange relief. On the flight back, I turned his number back on, ready to face missed calls and desperate messages, but there was nothing. I told myself he was waiting, that he'd unleash his anger when I arrived. When I stepped through the door, I forced a smile, as if nothing had changed. But the house felt foreign. His shoes were no longer by the door. The coat he always left on the chair was gone. Even the faint trace of his aftershave had disappeared. On the table sat an envelope with my name written in his handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Clara," it read. "I don't know where you went or why you shut me out, but your silence told me more than any words ever could. A husband shouldn't have to beg for a place in his wife's life." I waited. I worried. And I realized I'm worth more than being ignored. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I'm done. I stood frozen, his last words cutting through me sharper than any argument ever had. My chest felt tight, my legs weak, and I collapsed into a chair. I wanted to call him, to explain, to plead, but I couldn't. Deep down, I knew he had been right all along. My betrayal was exactly the wound he had feared. The days stretched into weeks with no word from David. My calls went unanswered, my messages left on read, my letters returned untouched. It was as if he had wiped me from his world, leaving me alone inside the wreckage of what used to be our life. I had risked the trust we built for a moment of reckless excitement, and lost him entirely. Ethan tried reaching out, but I shut him out. The fire I once ran toward now disgusted me. He was never meant to be my future. David was, and I had thrown that future away. Memories of David's quiet love haunted me. The way he kept my gas tank full, brewed the coffee before I woke, steadied me when I was on the verge of falling apart. Those little gestures, once ordinary, now felt like a cruel reminder of what I had destroyed. When friends noticed the emptiness in my voice and the bare finger where my ring once sat, I lied and said we had simply grown apart. But the truth was uglier. I was the one who shattered us. David was gone before I could fall to my knees and beg for forgiveness. Months later, the divorce papers arrived, clean, final, without anger or accusations. Just his quiet choice to be free. Signing them felt like hammering shut the last door between us. At night, I still find myself staring at his name in my phone, wondering if he ever thinks of me. But I know I'll never hear his voice again, never see his soft smile, never feel the steady love that once held me together. That single trip didn't just break us, it erased him from my life. Love was never meant to be a fleeting rush or a reckless adventure. It was meant to be loyalty, respect, trust. I forgot that, and in forgetting, I lost David. The world goes on, but my heart is still frozen in the silence he left behind, haunted by the man I pushed away.